extremely large sort of gains is what we have. Prateek Aggarwal is with us, Executive Director at Motilal Oswal Asset Management. Prateek, good morning. Great to have you with us here. Thanks for your time. Yes, let's just start with a quick view on Paytm, as we were discussing earlier. Prateek, if you have a view, that is. Not about whether, this is not a recommendation one way or the other, but just how you think about it from here.
No, so whenever there is a turmoil like this, the value of any business will undergo damage. Really depends on the customer behavior. The clients of Paytm, I mean, if they stick to the platform, the value stays. Otherwise, it gets destroyed in a lasting manner. So that is the whole thing. The longer it drags on, the more will be the propensity of clients to move to other platforms. So that is the challenge. The quicker it gets resolved, the lesser will be the value destruction. And the uncertainty is hence very high because there is no knowing how long will it take to set things right at the back end.
Absolutely. I think that uncertainty, right, and the investor confidence has been eroded more than anything else in the last couple of days, and that is really a big issue. It takes a long time to get investor confidence back. By the way, I just want to mention that IT is coming back. So, all your IT stocks are up and about. TCS, in fact, is back above the 4,000 mark. So it's a fresh 52-week high for TCS this morning, up 1.5%. So keep that on your radar. But Prateek, how are you feeling about the markets overall? The markets have now got into a bit of a sticky zone. It's unable to sustain at higher levels. There is global uncertainty as well. The Chinese markets, we've all been hearing about that in the last few days. Are you starting to get a bit cautious?
No, so if we look at several asset classes, debt, equity, others, I think equity is still very competitive versus other asset classes. So if somebody has to put in money and seeks, let's say, double-digit kind of returns with volatility, if you can digest volatility, I think equities are the place to be in still. On the larger cap indices, I think most commentators are saying valuations are sustainable. We are saying the same, which means you should expect earnings growth kind of returns from the larger cap part of the market. So to my mind, very sustainable levels, but the easy money that was made from, let's say, COVID lows till now is probably behind us. The other thought that I have is, unlike the 2008 to 2021 period, wherein alpha generation was very difficult, the larger cap indices did the best. This is a period when alpha generation is more possible because earnings growth outside of the index is higher than the earnings growth of the index itself. So, along with the alpha that now I think the street as a whole is generating, returns for a mutual fund investor should be higher than the earnings growth that is projected.
Hi Prateek, good morning. Good to see you. I wanted to ask you about two of those poster boys the last few years, Bajaj Finance and HDFC Bank. Both of them were big wealth creators. However, in the last 12 to around 18 months, they have been big underperformers. What's your view on them? Do you think it's time to get into these names? Because very good franchises, they've made a lot of wealth for investors. But the last couple of years have been very, there's been a stark underperformance from them. Your view particularly on both these two names?
So typically, I avoid single stock comments. I'll speak more philosophically. In financials, particularly, if there is a amalgamation and a new platform happens, which is way larger than the earlier one, and if there is a regime change, I think markets take time to see what is happening, to digest. And in that period, the stocks may move sideways, languish, whatever you may want to say. Second, in financials, lot of the premiums that some of the names may have commanded was on account of the face that was seen, which reposed confidence of the street. And versus others, people may have parked monies into those names. So it's not only these two names, it's also others. Now, when those faces change, whether the new faces will inspire same degree of following and confidence,
Got
only can tell, is the thought. Until then, the franchises may not be able to retain the premium valuations.
Okay, now there is a little pressure that's seeping into the broader markets. The mid-cap index, although the headline index is doing okay, but look at what's happening in the broader market. Something like a Suven Pharma is down 9%. A lot of these names, NBCC is down about 5% odd, BEML is down about 3%, Macrotech Developers is down 3%. You get a sense that there's some money being taken off in some of these, gaining sectors. So Hudco is down about 2%, Metro Brands, BEML, by the way, case in point, down 3%. So just keep an eye out on that. Bank Nifty is also dragging its feet at the moment. Pratik, I wanted your thoughts on the auto sector, because over there you're seeing a very good performance for across the board, right? I mean, whether it's something like a Bajaj Auto, which is doing really well, commentary has picked up, Tata Motors management is very confident about the Jaguar Land Rover business. How are you feeling about that pack in general, and are the valuations looking exciting to you?
No, so this is a space which is the leader in terms of earnings growth for the quarter, and has been the leader in earnings growth over last few quarters actually. And I think stock prices have followed. The challenge here is for a long-term investor, that whether the market is giving valuations to both ICE and EV part of the business. At some point in time, you will not have both, you will have one of the two. So that becomes a challenge. But otherwise, for the near term, I think this is a space where the earnings growth momentum should be expected to sustain. And if we believe markets follow earnings growth, I think the performance could also sustain. So those are the thoughts there.
Oops, okay, I think, all right. We will actually leave it at that. Thanks, Pratik, for joining in and giving us your views. Well, that's the word coming in on the market, which, by the way, is very quiet right now. So